Hey everyone, my name's Maddie. I'm a 22-year-old competitive climber from Canada, currently living in Montreal. Welcome back to the COMPCLIMB training series, where I record a little bit of my training, provide in-depth analysis on every session, and just chat about climbing with an emphasis on competition. Now, speaking of competition, this past weekend, Zach and I traveled down to Ontario to the JACKALOPE Mississauga Festival, where we competed in a bouldering competition. So a few things to note before we get into the qualifier round. First and foremost, there was no warm-up wall. So we had to warm up during the competition. And because it was a scramble qualifier and it was judged, you had to put your scorecard into a pile, and every 20 minutes or so, you would get a chance to get on the wall. So this made a nice, proper warm-up a little bit difficult, and many climbers ended up getting onto hard boulders before they were really ready. So unfortunately, Zach had to pull out of the competition early because he is looking at a bit of a finger tweak right now. And so to be on the safe side, he decided not to rush his warm-up and to just not compete in the first place. So it was a great decision to make, but I ended up being the only one of us that was actually competing this weekend. So with that said, let's jump into the qualifying round. The first boulder I got on was probably the best choice, but I definitely wasn't ready to do it. I was a little bit on the cold side, not very warm. I hadn't done any coordination or anything really above V4. So I did actually fall on the first move here, or on the last move here, which this boulder did see quite a bit of flashes. So it was a little bit unnerving, but I knew I just wasn't warm. So I just gave it another shot, got it done, and then moved on. Now, keep in mind, again, there's probably 20, maybe even 30-minute breaks between these attempts at the moment. You know, you just do your best, and if you happen to be a more resilient, like less injury-prone athlete, which I feel like I am at times, you can work with it. So this boulder here was a good one to move on to. I wasn't 100% warm again, but this was a good one to get warm because the crimps on this boulder weren't super sharp. They were kind of like warm-up crimps, if there is such a thing. So it was a great one to move on to. However, I did notice that there was a foot that I just couldn't make stick. It just kept slipping right down from under me, and it was quite fascinating because I did not know at all why it was happening. My shoes are pretty new, and they're the Tomoe Narasakis, and I'm pretty confident in them overall, but it kept slipping on me. But on this attempt, you can see I just kind of gritted through it with my arms and just like let myself slip and just hoped that my hands could just like keep me on the wall, and they did. So I was just happy about that to get it done. In a qualifier round, you just have to get it done. You know, don't worry about if you did it pretty or how many attempts really it took you. You just got to get the boulders done. So at this point, I'm at my peak warmth and I'm like, okay, let's just get the crimp line done. This is number 23 in the round. And again, there are 24 boulders. So it was actually crazy. I just like got on this boulder and just got it done. It was, I guess, my style. I'm starting to realize that crimps are kind of my style. So I was really psyched to get a quick flash of that. So I was like, okay, I am fully warm now. So let's go back to the slab. And the slab is quite delicate, but it's got some like pretty razor crimps on it, especially the crimp behind the volume on the first hold. So basically all you need to do is trust your feet, which I did despite the fact that it was just slipping on a foot chip. I know that the Tomoes are really good for smearing, so I was like, I'm gonna ignore the foot slip on the crimp and I'm just gonna do this move. So finals is a really cool format. You have 3 climbers that go out on the mats at the same time, and then one by one, you do an onside attempt first, so you face away from the wall and you let your other competitors climb, and then you get to go. And then finally, as soon as everyone's done their onside attempt, you get to all work together to try to figure out the boulder. So you can see here, this is my onside attempt. And I was really psyched to actually have done the coordination move on my first try. I was really nervous because it's the first boulder of the day, and you know, you can hear, you know, if people are falling or not behind you. So I got it done really quickly. I impressed myself, and I got a quick flash of this boulder, and I was really psyched, so it set my round up really well. The next boulder was a paddle. I'm not gonna lie, I was hoping this would be a bit more of a true paddle, I guess. I'm starting to train paddles quite a bit, so I feel like my paddle power is like at its prime right now. But some girls were actually staticking the first move. when I was trying to like paddle it for real, like the final jug was a bit too slopey, just like too much momentum would just like peel you off the wall. But then the girl before me actually stuck the first hold. And so, of course, we all tried that afterwards. And that's the one thing about this format. You can kind of steal each other's beta and just get the boulder done. So this ended up not really being a paddle, but I still really like the boulder. Like, it's so pretty, and I love climbing on those holds. This boulder here is supposed to be the power boulder, I guess. So it's kind of tensiony. The sloper here is really bad, and you're kind of pressing off of it. There were many points when I was climbing this where I was like, oh, I could slip at any moment. The two girls before me flashed it during their onside attempts, so I didn't see them do it, but I knew they flashed it. So two girls flashed it in front of me, and then I have to go, and the pressure is mounting in order for me to flash this. And so I was super nervous, but I somehow found the willpower to not be super nervous, and I got a flash of this as well. So that was really cool, and we all decided to just walk back into isolation. Typically, we can like stay out and just watch each other or watch other people, but we decided to just go back in and rest up for our final boulder. So at this point, our last boulder is the slab, and this is where I kind of ran into some problems. So this leads me into today's tip of the day, and that is when to adjust your foot. Now, in many slabs, you'll find yourself in a situation where you need to adjust your foot, and it almost becomes like a move of its own. Adjusting the foot becomes the only thing you have to do in order to move on to the next move. In a 360 move boulder situation, such as the one I'm in here, that becomes crucial to doing the whole 360 move. Now, if you're familiar with this kind of move, it was in the 2023 IFS season quite a bit. There were a few competitions where we saw this in either a men's or women's semifinal or final round, but it was all over the place, and gyms started setting it, and it's super awesome and fun and trendy, and you can see it's in a competition now that I was just in. But it is extremely footwork dependent. The issue here is when you put your foot on the first hold, which is going to be either a blocked or kind of around the corner blind foot, that foothold is typically going to be pretty bad or blocked or just kind of slopey. And it needs to be that way, otherwise you can easily just match the foot and then kind of bypass the 360 move that the setters are going for. So the first foot needs to be bad. And because of that, you need to be able to put your foot on that hold very well and securely so that you can set yourself up for the next kind of 360 move where you go and face the crowd. Now, this isn't a problem except for the fact that it's hard to put your foot on a blind or bad hold easily. So typically a foot adjustment is necessary. But for me in this situation, I found it very difficult to adjust my foot. I tried, but I felt like I didn't really know where the chip was. And so my split-second competition decision was to just start doing the 360 move and focus on adjusting it after the fact. And I backed myself kind of into a corner by doing that, and I was not able to adjust my foot after the fact. So today's tip of the day is to, when possible, adjust your foot when you're in a better position. So before I went into the 360 move, my hands were kind of on a volume, there was less weight on my foot. It would have been a better situation to just take a couple extra moments to really adjust the foot, right? Even as you're about to start going into 360, keep adjusting it until you feel good. For a move like this, you really need to feel good on all your feet in order to be confident moving towards the next move. And this goes for a lot of slab moves. Feeling confident on your feet is typically a must. Now, sometimes, of course, you're gonna have to just put your foot on a hold that you don't like, that it's kind of slopey, and you're gonna have to just deal with it. But in a move like this, such as a 360 move, being confident, having your heels facing each other and having your hips squared up when you're facing the crowd is basically part of the move. So for me to try to adjust after the fact was, I wouldn't say impossible, but much harder. And especially when you have a time limit, such as in like a final round when the whole crowd is watching you. And in this case, with a special format, you've got your other competitors watching you, and we're all on time limit, so you can't really take forever on it, but you also could because it's, a competition, so you shouldn't feel rushed, but you are anyway. Either way, adjusting after the fact just really wasn't an option. And it only took me 3 attempts to realize that, and then I ran out of time. So word to the wise and your tip of the day is, when possible, try to adjust your foot when you're in a better position or before you go into a move. And if we're talking specifically about the 360 turnaround move, adjust your foot. Take an extra second to adjust your foot before you start going into the move, because you'll find it is really hard to adjust it after the fact. Be that as it may, this lack of foot adjustment did keep me off of the gold place position, which, you know, you can't be disappointed about, but in the end, second place is still good, third place is still good, making finals is good in and of itself. So I'm definitely not disappointed at all with the performance. I do wish I adjusted my foot beforehand, but what can you do, you know? So overall, I would say the competition was an 80% success. You know, we got a podium out of me, we got a giant check, which you can probably see in the background. It's the one at the bottom. And while Zach did pull out, he is not injured, so it's all good from here. So where this leaves us is we decided not to go to the Boston comp we had planned for the following weekend, which leaves us with an entirely free summer. So it's going to be a lot of training this summer, a lot of vlogs, a lot of YouTube content, so you can stay tuned for all of that. Insert catchy video outro here.